Okay. Oh, so that's why I'm here today. I'm here to amp it up. I didn't bring donuts. I, in fact, didn't bring any food. So you'll just have to take what I have to say. My name's Auld. I'm a certified personal trainer, corrective exercise specialist. I own a personal training business in Sacramento. I do a lot of corporate training at VSP and a couple other places. And I also spent a lot of time at Kaiser in medical and pediatric weight management. So weight loss is my specialty. I work with a lot of clients that just want to like tone and get in shape. But I do a lot of work with weight loss. And I do a lot of corporate seminars, especially in the new year, because a lot of people want to kind of get going, right? It's a new year, time to think about what you're doing health-wise, and your employers have graciously had me come today. So perfect. Okay, so a new year is always a fresh start. Has anyone seen on Netflix, like everyone's tidying up their house now? It's like the new thing, the cleaning videos. Yeah, I've been seeing those everywhere. So today we're just gonna do a tidying up of what we're eating, drinking, and doing with our metabolism. So what you guys, go ahead and next. Thank you. The mission today is to help your metabolism work to its utmost potential. Does anyone feel like they're just not happy with their metabolism at the moment? Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. And anyone who is happy with their metabolism right now, we can always make tweaks, right? I'm always looking for things I can improve upon. So you're probably like, okay, well, explain to me what my metabolism is. This picture is a great example of kind of what metabolism is. It's the process that your body uses to burn energy. So to have energy to drive your car, like food is fuel. So it really is a complex process, but basically your body is breaking down calories that you're eating or drinking, combining them with oxygen, things in your body, and it's releasing all that energy that you have. So the way I explain it to people is your body is a machine. So you have to have fuel to make your machine work. Has anyone driven close to empty?
Yeah. It's on there right now.
On the daily, yes. Yes, get out to your car right now and get gas. A lot of us do that. We kind of take it right to the limit of where we're at empty. Our body is the same way. If we don't have fuel in our body is kind of running on empty. What are signs that your body is kind of running on empty? Headache. Extreme fatigue. Some people get nausea. They really feel like, oh, I feel like I'm going to puke if I eat anything, like I'm too far gone. For some people, it's what I call hangry. You're so hungry, you're angry. Like no one wants to be around you, right? So for some people, that's a real thing. So those are signs that your machine has gone too long without fuel, okay? So those that haven't eaten in a couple hours or don't have gas in their car, once this gets out, we got to go do something about it, right? Next slide. I'm sorry, my remote broke. I normally have a remote with me. The battery's out. How I explain metabolism to people is through two ways. There's a BMR and an RMR. Has anyone ever heard of your RMR? Your resting metabolic rate? That's one that's really, really common and well known. So if you download MyFitnessPal and they're like, hey, how old are you? How much do you weigh? How tall are you? How active are you? That's them calculating your resting metabolic rate for you, okay? So really, it's calories you're burning throughout the day. Typically, people's RMRs range from like 1,200 to 1,800 calories. Some people have higher, some people have lower. So for example, for me, my resting metabolic rate is around like 18 to 2,000 calories a day, or 1,800, sorry, to 2,000 a day. So sometimes when someone is shorter or when they don't move around as much throughout the day, they cannot eat that many. So like when I work with someone in Kaiser, that's probably like 5 feet tall, 5'1", they're 40 plus, they work at a desk all day, they're gonna be more around like an 1,100 to 1,300 calorie range. Their resting metabolic rate is just a little bit slower because of the different factors, which I'll get into. A basal metabolic rate is how many calories I would burn if I just did this. I'm burning calories, right? Why am I burning calories? My heart's pumping, I hope. Right? My blood's flowing. So you burn calories doing nothing. If you were to Netflix and chill all day, you're still gonna burn calories. Don't do that all day, but you would still burn calories, right? So a basal metabolic rate, they do it like in a hospital setting. They have you fast the entire night, the night before. They have you come in, they have the temperature of the room set a certain way, and you lay there with a mask on, and then they see how many calories you burn just laying on the table doing nothing, right? So a lot of people don't really get their BMR done. It's more done in like the medical setting. A resting metabolic rate you can have done on an app like MyFitnessPal. At Kaiser, they do that testing. At UC Davis, what we do is we just have people fast, come in the morning, we put like a scuba mask on them, and then the machine reads what their RMR is at. So there's ways to figure it out, which is really cool. So that's kind of the comparison of the two. Good. And keep in mind that metabolism is a 24-hour process. So you're still burning calories when you're sleeping. Why? Your heart's still pumping, hopefully. Your blood's still moving. Now, are you going to burn as many calories laying flat sleeping as you are working out? Probably not. It's a lot more minimal. A lot of times too, when you're sleeping, your hormone levels are readjusting, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about hormone levels, but that's why sleep is really important for your metabolism, because your hormone levels are adjusting. And keep in mind that if you're sitting in a chair or standing at work, what do you think is burning more calories? Standing. Yeah. Absolutely. Your metabolism is moving quicker just because you're standing. You're recruiting more muscles. You're moving around more. Now, if you're sitting, it's not that you're burning no calories, because things are still moving around, but you're not burning as many calories if you're sitting all day. So I tell people, if you have the option to have a standing desk, it is awesome, because a lot of people do not have those in the workforce of America. So if you have them, I tell people, schedule in your day every single day when is like standing time. So whether it's 4 hours in the morning, whether it's 2 hours in the morning, every single day have your time when you always stand, no matter what, because that'll help. That's an easy way to burn some calories that way. Good. Okay, so what determines your metabolic rate? Who has the winning ticket of metabolism? The skinny, tall guy with muscle. Golden ticket. It sucks. I hate it. It's not fair. But that is who has the winning metabolism, right? The rest of us have to look at body size and composition. So the more muscle in your body, the more quicker your metabolism works. Why is that? Your body just burns, it metabolizes quicker with more muscle. So if two people are on a treadmill right next to each other, and one is in a really muscular body, and the other person, their body is mostly fat, maybe a little bit of muscle, if they're on a treadmill right next to each other working out, the person whose body is mostly muscle is metabolizing quicker. They are burning more calories. Their body is using more energy to hold on to that muscle, right? So really larger bodies, and not necessarily like you need to be huge and buff, but the more muscle you have, the larger you are. And that's why I said males, typically like a tall, muscular male, that is when your metabolism is really moving. Also is sex. So men typically have more muscle. Even if they're not working out as often, they typically have more chest muscle, more leg muscle. So a man typically has a faster metabolism than a woman. It's kind of just the luck of the draw. It definitely sucks. I get it for those of us that are women. But typically, like I said, men just have more muscle. So I meet a lot of couples that I work with, and they're eating the same exact thing, which is not a bad thing, but you have to take a look at where everyone's metabolism is, because a woman's plate might not be able to be the same exact size and portion as her partner's, right? Because maybe your spouse or your significant other has a faster metabolism, so they are able to eat more and not put on weight. Good. Another thing to keep in mind, the third factor is age. This part just sucks. I hate to say it, but it sucks. As you get older, your metabolism slows down. Typically, people start to lose muscle as they get older. Muscle depletes quicker. So that's one of the reasons for your metabolism slowing down. You might not be as active. Statistically, each decade, your metabolism usually drops 2 to 3%. Yeah, it sucks, right?
Older also.
Yeah, it's just one more thing. It's just like kick her while she's down, right? What I tell people to keep in mind too, I meet a lot of people, especially in like their 30s, their 40s, even 40 plus, and they're just feeling really frustrated because they're like, I used to be athletic my whole life. You know, I ate decently healthy in my 20s and I worked out kind of, but I looked great. What has happened now? And what I have to explain to them is if you're doing the exact same thing you were doing in your 20s and eating the exact same amount, fast forward to when you're 40, if you're not strength training anymore, you've kind of lost muscle, and if your metabolism is slowed down, it's really easy to put on weight. So you really kind of have to check in with yourself every decade to kind of see, okay, how many calories should I be at? Because if I'm eating as many calories as I was when I was 20, and I was metabolizing a lot faster, I was doing more strength training, maybe that's why I'm putting on weight in the decades after that, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and on. So that's something you really have to take into consideration. And then the last one, and I put it last because a lot of people think that your genetics is a huge part of your metabolism. And it is a part of your metabolism, but it's not the biggest part of your metabolism. Now, obviously, genetic makeup and inherited body build, that's your genetics. You can't, change your body type too much. But families eat a lot of the same things. They have very similar eating patterns. So what you find is that a lot of times it's not necessarily genetics that people share, it's that they cook the same way. So if a mom uses olive oil and fries a lot of her foods and loves it, and that's how she teaches her kids to cook, and then her kids in turn fry a lot of food, use vegetable oil, cook with lard, whatever it is, that's not necessarily genetics, that's just everyone has similar eating patterns. So I tell people a lot of people will be like, I have my mom's metabolism, you know what I mean? Or they'll say like, I have the same body type as my mom. Remind yourself that some of that is genetic, but a lot of that is that you and your mom are eating the same things, or you and a parent or a grandparent or whatever it is. So take a look too at if everyone in the family is eating the same way, that could be part of it too. Good. Okay, so I'm going to break it down for you so you can kind of figure out how many calories your body are burning throughout the day. So when you're eating food, has anyone eaten today? Yes. You're burning calories. When you're chewing, digesting, absorbing, you're burning calories. And has anyone done physical activity or exercise yet? Yes, Greg has. Kathy has. Did anyone walk to the water fountain today?
I walked around the office.
Yes, yes. You were like copier now, running, right? Maybe.
Walked around our office yet. It's a maze. It's a thing.
I love that. Maybe I could put little stations at each point, like stop and do 10 leg lifts. I would love that. Okay.
Start running to the office now.
Right? Someone will be on the phone and they'll be like, I'm sorry, what was that? Someone just ran by. Yeah, I like that. Hey, we're planning. So good. So those factor into what you're doing throughout the day. Good. Next slide. So you'll see the breakdown. Your basic energy needs, that's 60% of your bodily energy throughout the day. Your physical activity, that's 30% of your body burning energy throughout the day. And then the last is the digestion of food and absorption of nutrients. So I always tell people, why is celery so popular? Because you burn more calories eating than what's actually in it, right? By the time you crunch on the celery, work it through your mouth, swallow it, digest it, the little stalk of water was basically, you burn more calories eating it than what was actually in it, right? That's an example of a food that you burn calories trying to eat. So that's your 100% energy use for the day. Perfect. So the biggest thing that I take away with people is that they're like, my metabolism sucks. It's very easy to blame your metabolism, but in fact, a lot of times it's actually just weight gain. Right? Your metabolism is a bodily function. It's just like hormones or things like that. It's pretty regulated by your body. Now, I have met people who have hormones that are off, and I always say, go to the doctor, get your hormones checked, get that worked on. But for a lot of people, it's just a matter of you need to eat fewer calories, or you need to increase the number of calories you're burning throughout the day, or you need to increase physical activity, or both, right? So a lot of times it's not our metabolism that's faulting us, it's that some of the choices we're making are causing us to gain that weight instead of our metabolism just not working. Good, next slide. So you're saying, okay, Erica, you told me I need to eat less. So I'm going to go eat less. So I'm going to download MyFitnessPal, and I'm going to eat less than what it says. I'm going to only eat 1,000 calories a day. Why am I lost weight, but now I'm plateauing? Why am I not losing weight? Has anyone ever done that where they've eaten less calories, they've lost weight, they feel really good, and then you kind of hit like a plateau where you're like, what's happening? Nothing's changing, right? So what happens with that is that basically, your body is a machine, like I said. So if my body needs 1,800 calories and I'm eating less than 1,800 calories, now obviously I'm at a deficit, right? So I will lose weight. But I will get to a point when I start to eat more calories that basically I will put weight back on because I have had less calories, my body got used to that less calories, and then as soon as I increase the calories, I put weight on really quickly. So has anyone done a low calorie thing and then had really great results, felt really great, kind of went back to their old eating ways and gained the weight back, plus maybe some? Yeah, that's really common to do. And why that is because your body is a machine, just like a car. It needs so much gas. So the best way is to, yes, eat less calories, but you can only eat less calories for so long. So for example, like in a Kaiser setting, in a medical weight management setting, they're doing really low calorie things, but a doctor is watching them each week. They're getting blood drawn, looking at their liver, everything like that. And then eventually they're building their calories back up. They don't leave people on a low calorie diet forever. Why? Because their body will go into starvation mode. The second that Christmas comes and they are just like, hungry, delicious, the second they start to eat more, they will put weight back on very easily. A lot of people too are actually not eating enough calories. So they're exercising really, really hard and they're only having, say, maybe 1,200 calories a day when their machine really, their body needs 1,800. That's 1,600 calories less, right? So for a lot of people, they're just not eating enough calories. I meet a lot of women especially, they're eating very low calories, but they're burning a ton of calories throughout the day. So they are not able to lose weight because they're just not feeding themselves enough, right? Their machine is not getting enough fuel. They're driving their car on like very low gas for a very long time. Does that make sense? So it really is important to figure out where your RMR number is and then to figure out how many calories you're eating and burning a day. Because there is kind of a science to it. But if you just decide, I'm a 1,200 calorie girl, that's all I need, and you don't figure out how many calories you're burning, you really could just be starving yourself. And then at that point, that's no fun because you're eating nothing and you're getting no results. Who wants that? No one, right? Good, next slide. So what I tell people is really important, looking at your calories throughout the day, however many you have, everyone's different in how many calories they have. It's really, really important to have your day look like the right-hand side. What looks different between the right and the left?
Portion size.
Portion size, yes. He's what?
Oh, sorry, he's flexing.
He's flexing, yes. Why isn't she? She should be.
That's a girl.
Oh, I guess it could be either. I'm not sure. Guy or girl? The one on the left.
Yeah, I thought there were two guys.
It might be two guys. We don't know. It's anyone. Yeah, that's okay. So as we can see, the person with muscles on the right, they had a good sized breakfast, they had a good sized lunch, and then like a moderate sized dinner. Is that the American culture? No. No. We are like on the left. I can't tell you how many of my clients I have had tell me, I'll be like, okay, what'd you have for breakfast? Coffee. Oh, okay. Like I always have to remind myself, coffee is not food. I think coffee is like its own food group, right? People are always like, I had coffee. Okay, coffee is not food, right? But in the American culture, we'll have coffee and then maybe a little something, maybe a little donut, maybe a little something else. But then most of our food in the American culture is eaten at dinner, right? What do you do after dinner? Get lazy, sleep. That's not usually the time when you're burning the most calories. So why it's really important to start with breakfast is that once you eat breakfast, number one, it gets your metabolism going because you've been fasting the whole time you were sleeping, right? You might have slept 7 to 8 hours that you did not eat. So you were fasting that entire time. So when you wake up, it's really important to eat, get your metabolism going, get things moving. And then you're more likely to burn off those calories throughout the day. Right? By the time we get to dinner too, and I'll talk about it in a second, you are so hungry, you just eat. Has anyone ever had that? Where you ate 2 plates full and then you're like, did I black out? What happened? Like I just ate 2 plates. I don't even know how that happened. That happens all the time because you waited to the point where you were beyond hungry. So am I saying that you need to stay at home in the morning and make 2 eggs and bacon and, saute some potatoes and mushrooms? No, because not everyone has that luxury. But there's a lot of things that you can eat for breakfast, and a lot of people that are in the office setting, I always recommend to them either eating something small at home or something in the car on the way here, and then then having like a second breakfast. So whether, I know some of you guys start at different hours, but maybe having a second breakfast in like 2 or 3 hours, another kind of breakfast item. So that way you're having a larger breakfast, but you don't need to physically sit down and eat it all at once. So like a donut at 9 and then a donut at 11. Wouldn't recommend the donuts, but it's that same kind of concept. You have a little something then, a little something at 11. So instead it could be like you eat a hard-boiled egg at home, 1 or 2 hard-boiled eggs, and then come here and then maybe have like a little yogurt, or you have some toast that you had made with some peanut butter, anything like that. Nowadays on Pinterest you can find anything. The little egg bites, right? I make healthy muffins all the time, or like rolled oat balls. There's a million things you can make. And then for lunch, did everyone eat lunch today? I see mostly yeses. Is it lunch? It's 12:25, so yes, it's lunch. So a lot of you guys have eaten. A lot of people skip lunch. It's one of the easiest things. Work is important. You're busy. You don't have time. Some people I know, you just didn't bring anything in the morning, right? Sometimes the morning's rough and you're like, great, it's lunch and I have no lunch. Okay. So just making sure to make an effort to eat lunch, because if you skip lunch, your dinner is going to be big. That's just how it typically works. Good. Okay, so physical activity and metabolism. So the more you exercise, the faster your metabolism works. That's how I always explain it to people. If you don't like exercise, you just have to eat lower of calories, right? So I meet people all the time and they're like, I just hate exercise. And I say, learn to love salads and vegetables and things that are very low calorie, because you're gonna have to fill your stomach up, because by not exercising, you're just not burning as many calories, right? So you don't have as much room to use some of your calories on food. So what did I say about muscle, and what does muscle do in relation to not having muscle for your metabolism? Makes it faster, right? Your body burns more energy holding onto muscle than it does fat. So it's really, really important. The more muscle you can put in your body, the better. And a lot of people think muscle, they think they need to like be at the gym with the perfect body. It's not like that at all. I tell people you can go on Amazon and buy some extra tubes. You can buy some small hand weights and you can get down with that. To build muscle, you can do a lot of it with your own body weight. You could just come in here, just do a couple tricep dips, right? You could be on the phone and you could be doing just some leg kicks like, hello, my name's Erica, how are you today? Okay, right? Typing, doing stuff. You could be doing some squats while you're doing something throughout the day. All those things build muscle. You don't necessarily have to have a full gym to build muscle. You can do lots of things with your own body weight. You can get bands, you can get dumbbells, you can move around, right? So staying physically active will definitely help your metabolism move faster. So what are some examples? Intervals are one of my favorite things. Have any of you guys heard of intervals? Yeah? So how I explain an interval is you're constantly changing your heart rate. Why do I love that? Is because that burns more calories. It's challenging your body. Your heart's speeding up and then it's slowing down. And then it's speeding up and then it's slowing down. So that burns more calories than if I'm just kind of like leisurely walking. But if I like power walk and then I slow down, I'm burning more calories because I'm exerting at different levels. So I tell people all the time, you can do intervals at home. Walk really fast from one light pole and then slow it down. Then walk fast, then slow it down. What are some other examples of intervals that anyone's done? Running? Has anyone done running before? Yeah? And running can be hard on the body, so I tell people all the time, when it comes to intervals, power walking can be just as effective. You don't have to be running. You could be doing intervals on the stair stepper. Has anyone ever done stairs? Whether outside or... It's hard.
People think they're easy, they're not.
No, stairs are a great workout. And I tell people all the time, you don't even have to go to the gym if you live in an apartment with stairs, if you live nearby a park with stairs. Stairs are a great one where you could be running up the stairs and then coming down them slowly. Running up, coming down them slowly. So just changing that heart rate, that's a really good way to help your metabolism because you're exerting more effort, you're burning more calories. And aerobic, changing it up all the time. A lot of people keep doing the same workout routines. I tell them, you'll burn more calories if you change it up. So like 1 month, the jump rope and I are best friends. And then I break up with the jump rope the next month. And then I'm, best friends with the stairs. Whatever it is, every 4 to 6 weeks, you should have that cardio that you really love. Whether it's an elliptical, whether it's maybe some battle ropes, whether it's just running outside, whatever it is, changing it up. And then strength training. How many of us are doing maybe at least one day? How many of us would like to be doing one day? Yeah? Absolutely. Yeah. How many of us are doing maybe more than one day? Little harder to fit in, but it can be done. Absolutely. I tell people even one day will make a really, really good difference, right? So even just one day of doing some stuff at home makes a huge difference. Why? Because the more muscle that you have, the faster your metabolism will work. Good. And then walking, active lifestyle. Water metabolism. When you become dehydrated, your metabolism can also start to drop. Does anyone feel a little thirsty right now? Take a sip, please. If I knew where my water was, I'd take a sip too. So now everyone hears different things about water. The best advice I can tell people is at least take your body weight and divide it in half and put that into ounces. So for a lot of people that might be like 60 to 80 ounces. I tell people a lot of times though, if you're exercising pretty frequently, you should be having more. So I drink anywhere from 100 to 120 ounces a day. And I have a 40-ounce water bottle and I just drink 3 of those, right? It's a little bit easier when you're moving around all day to become thirsty. I know in the office setting, you're like, well, I just looked at the computer all hours, so I'm not really that thirsty. So you have to set more reminders. You kind of have to be more aggressive when you're not moving around as much to make yourself drink water. And days like today, it's not super motivating to drink a ton of water, but it will help regulate your body, get your metabolism going. Next slide. Thank you. My favorite, this is pretty much one of my favorite slides, hunger hormones and metabolism. I explain to people, because a lot of people struggle with this, has anyone ever gotten home from work and you are just starving? Like you can't stop yourself. Like there's a bag of pretzels or something and you could just plow through it. You're just starving, right? Or has anyone ever pulled up into the In-N-Out drive-thru and thought, I don't really need that much, and then you pull out with a hamburger, fries, and a drink, and you're able to eat the whole thing magically. You were hungry, right? So hunger hormones are a real thing in our body. A lot of people say, I don't have motivation to stop eating, like I just can't stop eating. And I tell them it's not a lack of motivation a lot of times. A lot of times it's hunger hormones. And how do hunger hormones get released? The main one, leptin, is you do not sleep enough at night. Okay, so I always tell people, especially when working in medical weight management, the 2 ways that I see most people gain the most amount of weight is not eating breakfast and not sleeping enough at night. People are sleeping like 4 or 5 hours. And then what happens is they over-caffeinate and then they don't eat breakfast and then all of their calories are later in the day, right? So getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night is huge. Now I know sleep can be really hard. Who in here is getting 7 hours? Around, give or take. No. Okay. How about when the power went out the other night? Did anyone get 7 to 8 hours? Technology was out. They're like, I have nothing to do. That is just the hard part of our culture and our society, is that we have a lot of technology. We have a lot of things that we're up being mentally stimulated by. Now, there's some phases of life where some people's sleep is just like a lot harder.
Like pregnancy?
Exactly. Yeah. Like sleep is just incredibly uncomfortable. But I tell people, if you are going over 6 months to a year without at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep, if it's not like changing, then you have to do something differently, because it will be incredibly hard to lose weight if you're not sleeping enough, because your hunger hormones are going to come get you 2 p.m. and after, and you're not going to be able to stop it. You're just going to be so hungry you can't stop. Ghrelin is a hunger hormone that gets released, again, if you don't get enough sleep. You guys see the pattern here. If you're not sleeping enough, your hunger hormones. This is also one if you're not eating frequently enough. How many of you guys have gone 2 to 3 hours or plus without eating? Easy, right? Life happens, right? Yeah, that's like on a daily basis. The problem is with that, if you're not eating every couple hours, is that once that hormone's released, it's really hard to quiet it. Right? It's really hard to want carrots when your body is really, really hungry. Your body does not want carrots. It wants things that are like palate satisfying, right? I've never been like, oh, I'm just so hungry, I want carrots, right? No, I'm like, I'm so hungry, I want chips, I want something salty, or I want something sweet, something like that. So really, if you're not eating every couple hours, that's going to keep happening. So unless you change eating every couple hours, you're gonna want those carbohydrates that just sound so appetizing. Peptide YY, so the last one, upping your protein intake. So just making sure that you're having little bits of protein at every single meal, because protein helps keep you full. But basically, thank you so much. how the FDA regulates food, they're not as specific on dietary supplements, right? So when you get food, if it's certified organic, if it's just basic food, you know that it's certified, you know that someone's making sure that food is safe. With dietary supplements, they're not heavily regulated by the FDA like food is. So a lot of times people will be taking stuff and they have no idea what they're taking. I know there's a lot of different pre-workouts out there. In the training world, I've seen all of it. I've seen a personal trainer, I had to call 911 because he took so much pre-workout that his face was turning so red and he was literally passing out. So for me, I'm like, wow, that's a really powerful thing if pre-workout can make me have to call 911 to save his life. That's a really powerful supplement that he bought that I don't think he was aware that the dosage was too much for the size of his body, right? So I always tell people there's no magic tool. If you want your metabolism to speed up, if you want to lose some weight, you just got to put in some work, right? Okay. Now you're saying, okay, I think my metabolism is slow, but you just told me, Erica, it's not my metabolism, so what should I do instead? Look at if you're eating too many calories. How many people in here know around how many calories they're eating a day? Yeah? Yeah, good. And if you're like, I have no idea, that's okay. Right? Start somewhere. Let's download an app. Apps are usually the easiest just because you can enter in a food or scan it and it will tell you the calories right then. Or use good old Google and a journal and write it down that way too, right? So figure out how many calories you're having in a day. And I tell people at least look at like maybe a weekday or two and a weekend, because let's get real. The calories on the weekend are so different than Miss Perfect Tuesday, right? So I always tell people kind of look at both. Your calories can fluctuate a little, but if you have no idea how many calories you're eating in one day, we need to at least just start there because knowledge is power. It's kind of like stepping on the scale, right? You don't want to step on the scale, but you have to at least step on the scale to know. Knowing how many calories you eat every day is the same thing. Getting too little of exercise. So if you're not exercising enough, then sit down and figure out where you can just add in maybe one day, half a day, 30 minutes, something small. And like I said, go online and you can look up body resistance strength training with a band. There's so many ways that you can get any type of exercise without having a full gym at home or even having a gym membership. A lot of my clients that come to me for personal training, they come to me one day a week. They have no gym membership, and I have clients that have lost 50 to 80 pounds. You don't have to have all these crazy tools. You just have to have a plan, and you have to be willing to do some cardio and strength training at home, on your furniture, while you're watching TV, doing a little side to side, stuff like that. You have to be willing to move, right? And then looking at certain medications. So there are certain medications for depression and certain beta blockers for heart issues that have been shown to slow down your metabolism. And antidepressants in the US are huge. A lot of people are on them. So I tell people if you're taking any kind of antidepressant, you really need to talk with your doctor about weight gain. That's a huge thing that happens a lot. And then hormone imbalances, check with your doctor or check your sleep. And then unhealthy habits such as skipping breakfast or not getting enough sleep, right? So a really big takeaway to help your metabolism, you have to eat breakfast. If you have been sleeping for 7 hours and then you don't eat breakfast till noon, you have gone a lot of hours without eating, right? And I know there's a lot of cultures that do fasting, and I know intermittent fasting is really popular right now. But for some people, going 12 to 15 hours without eating is just not productive for them. So I tell people if you are sleeping at night and skipping breakfast, you really are fasting for equivalent to like a whole day. So you have to have something in the morning. Good. And then this is just an image so you guys can see. BMR testing, like I said, is the one in the hospital setting where you're laying flat and they put this crazy thing over your head, and that's where they see how many calories you're burning doing nothing. This is RMR testing, like what I would do at Kaiser and what you can do it at UC Davis. Pretty much a lot of the health benefit places you can go and get it done, and that's just the scuba mask looking at your oxidative levels, and then it prints out how many calories you should have throughout a day. And then the Harris-Benedict equation, that's the equation that all the major apps use. MyFitnessPal, Lose It, MyNet Diary. Are there any other ones that some of you guys like? Weight Watchers has one, Fitbit has one. There's a million different apps out there that will tell you how many calories you should have in a day, and they're all using something similar to that equation. And what that equation takes into is your height, your weight, your sex, and how much you move around during the day. So remember when I showed you guys the different factors that say if you have a fast metabolism or not, they ask you those factors. So you say you're a woman, okay, chances are your metabolism might be slower. You say, hey, I'm 5'1", chances are your metabolism might be a little bit slower. You say, I don't exercise at all, chances are your metabolism might be a little slower because you don't have as much muscle, right? So that's why they ask you those questions. And then they give you like a calorie range. What I don't like about some of the apps like MyFitnessPal is they give you just one number, and it should be more of a range. So if you make an app or if you make an account and it gives you just one number, I challenge you to find a little bit more of a range, because not everyone eats exactly the same amount of calories each day.
It does adjust though.
It does, yeah.
You're adding stuff in.
When you add in exercise and stuff like that, which I like, absolutely. The only hard part is if you check, I want to lose 1 pound, 2 pounds, it automatically just lowers the calories. Whereas some days you're going to have a range where maybe you don't need to be at that low of calories every day. But yeah, absolutely. If you exercise, then it'll account for that if you eat over your calories. Perfect. So here's a sample plan. Monitoring your food, drinking more water, getting in exercise, and then eating every 2 to 3 hours. So now you can put reminders on phones, computers. They even just came out with a water bottle that's attached to your phone. And when you drink the water bottle, it counts the ounces on your phone, watch, everything. Yeah, so one of my clients has it hooked up to her iWatch. So she just looks at her iWatch and it tells her how much water she's drinking so far that day. So I tell people, if you don't want to have to think about stuff, you go to Target and you buy stuff like that, like a water bottle that you hook up to your stuff, and then every time you come fill up that water bottle, it'll calculate it. Yeah, so they have simple stuff like that that can help you be more proactive. Good. I think that's it. Conclusion. Perfect. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to give you guys one. So the four categories that we broke it down into, I'll just give you guys a chunk and you can... is what affects your metabolism. The 4 categories, the first one we talked about was exercise. So why is exercise important to help the metabolism? Get your body moving. Helps build muscle. The more muscle in your body, the quicker your metabolism's working, the more calories you're burning. So on here is the examples like I talked about. Changing it up, doing intervals, making sure you're getting your heart moving, making sure you're building muscle, and then trying to get 10,000 steps a day. In the office setting, you have to work really, really hard at this exercise component. I don't work in the office setting, so I can't attest to how hard it is, but I work with a lot of people that work in the office setting, and it truly is hard because you're trying to do your job and you're trying to be healthy at the same time, and sometimes they just don't go hand in hand, right? Or you get stuck in an assignment or on a call or on a project, and your health kind of goes to the wayside because you're like, well, I don't need water and I don't need to pee right now. I need to work, right? So trying to find that balance. When it comes to exercise, I tell a lot of people, incorporate it with your kids. Incorporate it either before or after work. You have to find what works for you. If you're not a morning person and you're not doing it after work, then you need to find a better solution. Maybe working out both of your days off and then trying to do stuff, little things on days when you're working all day, right? The second category, calories and nutrition, that is affecting your metabolism a lot. Now on here it says, is your meal strategy upside down? What do you think that refers to? The image. Remember the image of the 2 bodies? The American culture. Super small breakfast, medium-sized lunch, huge-sized dinner. So if that is the meal strategy that you're having pretty much every day, that is affecting your metabolism. Flipping that. Eating breakfast, eating a good-sized lunch, and then kind of scaling it back at dinner, right? Having dinner for breakfast, so more calories earlier in the day. Eating quality calories, and then eating frequently. Like we talked about with the donut. If we are not eating for hours on end, is the donut a better option? Yeah, it is, because we're going way too many hours without eating. If you make the donut a regular option, then that won't be as effective, but on occasion, no problem. Third category, water. So when you become dehydrated, your metabolism can drop, so making sure you're drinking water. Does anyone know how many ounces they've had today? Oh, we know, yeah. Okay.
Knows how big the cup is.
She knows how big her cup is, so she knows how many of those she's had. 48, 40, good.
No, 20 or 24.
1 water bottle, so like the normal size? Okay, okay. Good.
2 ounces.
You had 2 ounces, so like a sip. You just like wet your palate and that was it? Okay. So yeah, really taking the water up a notch, that will help a lot too, keeping you hydrated. A lot of times we mistake hunger for dehydration, right? So we think, oh my gosh, I'm just so hungry. A lot of times we're just really dehydrated. So if we're not having any water at all during the day, that will contribute to way more calories later in the day as well. And then the last one, how to improve your hunger hormones. So how do you make it so you're not ravishingly hungry? Eat. Sleep. Exercise, yeah. And sleep is a hard one, but like I said, sleep regulates your hunger hormones. So if you are not sleeping enough, that is one of the biggest indicators as to why you're gaining weight or not able to lose weight. And then the same as not eating every couple hours or not eating breakfast at all. That is one of the biggest indicators why you are gaining weight or not able to lose weight as effectively as you want to. Have you guys ever met the person who is just like super in shape and they're like a bird? Every time you see them, they're like eating a little something. And you're like, how are you always eating and you look like that? It's because they're eating little bits of stuff every single couple hours. So I have like 10 minutes in between each client when I'm working. I have a snack in between each client, every single client. So when I leave the house in the morning, I know how many snacks I have, I know how many hours I have, and I have it completely dialed out. So each hour I have something. Because if I left my house with nothing, how am I gonna have time every single hour to figure out something? Right? And they're small snacks. Sometimes I have one like every other hour. But when you come into the office, you're not going to have tons of hours to then start meal planning, right? The meal planning is something you have to have already ready to go right when you walk in. You have to have a little handful of nuts. You have to have a little hard-boiled egg. You have to have a little beef jerky or whatever you're into for snacks. You have to have it ready to go, because if you don't, it's really going to be hard to eat every 2 to 3 hours unless Greg and Kathy have a huge snack bar I did not see, right? I didn't see a vending machine or a snack bar. So that's really important. So I always tell people, work on your metabolism. Remember that as you get older, your metabolism is slowing down, so you have to be proactive about it. And if you're just feeling frustrated, this sucks, just pick one category. Don't revamp your whole life. Just pick one thing that you kind of want to focus on. So I always tell people, pick one of these categories and be like, you know what, I really want to focus on water. I want to build some better habits with water. Or I really want to focus on sleep, trying to get myself to bed earlier, powering down my electronics. I'm in grad school right now, so I totally get the sleep thing. It's a hard one, but I just have to work incredibly hard. And I'll literally like count on my fingers, like, okay, I can get 7. Gotta go. Like life shuts down. Turn off the phone. I can get 7. I have to like just sit there and lay there and be like, oh my gosh, I hope I fall asleep, right? You have to work really hard at trying to get those hours of sleep. So don't feel like you need to revamp your entire life, right? That's never the point of these seminars. Don't leave here and be like, oh my gosh.
Older. How do we stop
Yes. And then, you know, the market, the billion-dollar industry fitness market has a lot of products for that. What I tell people though, especially as you get older, your body definitely changes, which is really frustrating. As you get older, I really teach people to find calories that give you more bang for your buck. I'm a huge fan of salads as you get older, because you can pack salads with a lot of different veggies and crunch and things that'll fill you up, and it's not necessarily as high of calorie. And especially things like celery and things like that you're really getting more filled up than what's actually in it calorie-wise. So I always tell people, look up lean meals. Eat a little bit of lower carbohydrate type stuff, because those heavier carbs are obviously really tasty, but trying to move towards things that are leaner will give you more bang for your buck. And just logging your food, you don't have to do it every day, but you will realize some foods that are just not worth the calories. So as you get older, you might look at that and just be like, you know what, that is not worth the calories. That's why I'm with macaroons. Like, to me, those little airy, sugary cookie things, they have so many calories in them, and they are no taste. Like, when I look at a macaroon, I'm like, no, not worth it. For me, donuts are the same, but that's just my relationship with donuts. I haven't had a donut in like 4 years. When I look at donuts, I'm just like, no, not worth it. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that's just because for me, like, you have to find things that are worth the calories and things that aren't. And especially as you get older, you have to have the foods that just aren't worth the calories. Because yeah, like when I was younger, I could eat 3 donuts and nothing would even happen. But now I'm like, okay, like I could eat the donut, but I'd rather just eat something that's more filling, that's less calories, right? So really, as you get older, you just have to be more and more aware of what you're doing, and you have to do some kind of strength training. Surprisingly, a lot of my clients that are like getting into it are like 40 plus. and they're like, I haven't really worked out a ton in my life, but I know I need to start now. Not only for that, but like osteoporosis and things like that. But strength training as you get older allows you to have flexibility more with your eating because your metabolism's working faster. So like Kathy, you could probably have a good meal or two, right?
Yeah.
But she's strength training a lot. So I always tell women, as you get older, make sure you're doing tons of strength training because that makes a difference. And not like you need to become like a bodybuilder, not strength training like that, but just doing stuff that's building muscle. And you can even do that with an exertube, right? You can go on Amazon and look up bands. There's so many different little bands that will just help build a little bit of muscle. Don't go to Amazon, but they're like less than $10. They have a bunch of different ones. So yeah, when it comes to building muscle, and I always tell people, especially how you guys are doing the challenge, do it together. There's nothing more motivating than having partners in it to do it with. And that is why so many people use personal trainers, because it is a built-in partner, and it's someone who checks on your accountability. But that's why it's cool doing it with people that you work with and see every day, because you can hold each other accountable. So if you're sore, you can complain to the other person that you're sore, right? And if you're doing a workout in the office, you can have someone join in with you and do something real quick, like do a plank challenge. Everyone does a plank for 30 seconds once a day, right? Just stop what everyone's doing and do a quick plank, things like that. There's so many different exercise things that people can do together. And eating healthy, I've always recognized too, like if one person's eating healthy, it kind of starts to ripple on everyone else, right? So kind of be that person that encourages other people to eat healthier. Because at work, you know, if you see it, you're like, well, I really want that, you know? So working hard at everyone working together. So yeah, that's really metabolism in a whole.